Welcome everyone to Male Fuzz TV. I am Peter, that is Tara, and we are going to talk about the Twilight Zone Season 4, Episode 5. It is called Mute. So full spoilers for the episode, as always. This episode is about a little girl who has telepathy, but has not learned to speak in the traditional way. There's a bit of a prelude to set this up, 10 years prior, and then the episode is after this girl's parents die in a fire. She is taken in by the local sheriff and his wife, and the wife becomes attached to her, and they think there's something wrong with her, or don't understand why she doesn't speak or why she's not been to school. And it's kind of her integrating and coming to terms with being in the world that full of people who speak, as opposed to just communicate mentally like she has done, and that's what she was taught. So Tara, what did you think of Mute?
I think it's a fine episode. I don't think it's one of the greats or anything like that, but there's some interesting developments that come along, I think, because of the long form, where there's some more details that you get about the world and stuff that I thought were interesting. But for the most part, I was thinking, like, is this going to be worth the longer story? And it's okay. I don't know.
That sounds like a no. That sounds like you think it didn't need to be as long as it was.
Well, I mean, it wasn't like a boring episode or anything. It's just, I don't know. It's just medium episode.
Medium, okay. Yeah, I'm a little mixed on it. Like, I like some of the ideas, and I think there's some interesting approaches to the premise. And this is a very early version of this premise because, it's the Twilight Zone, it's the 60s. I don't know how many movies or TV shows... Well, TV shows definitely, but movies, how many movies tackled telepathy before this point? Probably not a lot of them. And I do think it's interesting how they choose to portray some of it, just to sort of see the techniques they use. They do this thing where she sort of looks at someone's head and you sort of almost get like the video playing over their head to just sort of make it very clear that she's looking into their head and seeing this. Yeah,
I actually did enjoy some of that, some of the little tricks that they used for that quite a bit.
Yeah, I do think it is. I'm not actually saying it should have fit into a 25-minute episode and be half as long, but I certainly don't think it needed the full 50 minutes because it definitely sort of tacks some things on I didn't think I need. There's something with the teacher, for example, later on that I thought was kind of lame, and I'm like, this is like such a can of worms to just throw in here that I don't think added it into the episode. To me, it just kind of murkied the waters a little bit.
It made me go, wait, what? What did she say?
Yeah, especially since, so there's a sort of twist later on where this teacher who's trying to get her to speak in class turns out to also have telepathy and says, yes, my father, because I'll be honest, I thought she was going really dark, because the way she starts this, she's like, yes, my father forced something upon me, and he, just like yours forced it upon you, you can talk to me, child. And it takes her a minute before she eventually says what it is, and I was like, where's this going? This is like really dark for the 60s. And then eventually she said, yes. And then in her head she says, yes, you're a medium, like I was trained to be. And which I think, first of all, like, she keeps saying it's about communicating with the dead and everything. Because we actually saw this meeting. At the start of the episode, we see all the parents of these kids who are going to train them to be telepathic. There is not a single shred of evidence in that scene that it's about the dead or communicating with the afterlife or anything like that. It's all just about communicating with each other.
Yeah, this is just a separate thing, I think, that her experience was.
Yeah, which is interesting because it's like it's painting the world as having like different like similar things, and it's like she's assuming that it's like her backstory, but it's not. It's actually kind of different and unique to this girl, which I don't necessarily hate the idea of, but it just kind of felt out of nowhere, and it didn't really do like I expected them to use this for something after the fact, but then it never came up again. It never was brought up after this.
No, and it's still like, it's just that her instructions seem very harsh when you're watching it, and it could just be that she has this traumatic past where she's like, she sees herself in her or something, and so she's trying to like force something out of her, and it comes off as cruel when you watch it. Yeah, because
what I thought it was going to do before it revealed that she also was telepathic, I thought it was going to do like, oh, she doesn't understand, but everything she's saying is going to actually still work. This idea that this was forced upon her, and that she can get over it, even though it's different to whatever the teacher's talking about. And I thought it was going to be like, okay, so the telepathy's been used as kind of a, an allegory for some kind of I don't know, maybe abuse isn't the right word, but something,
just some sort of childhood trauma.
Yeah, so something that a parent has inflicted upon their kid by forcing them to be a certain way or whatever, and it just never kind of did that. And I thought that was a little bit I thought it was strange that it went the way it did, and then it never came up again, so I thought that was odd. And I think it left me with really mixed feelings over the ending, because we'll go back to the start. We'll go back to the start and explain kind of some of the context for this. So the opening scene is 10 years before the rest of the episode, and it's all these like groups of couples, these parents who are together, and they're making this pact where they're all going to develop how to be telepathic with each other. They don't talk about how they're going to do that. That's just assume they can, right? Just assume they can. But they say that humans, before speech was a thing, communicated telepathically, and we believe we can do this again. And we're going,
just like dogs.
Yes, and we're going to raise our children to do the same thing, and we're never going to teach them how to speak properly, like regular humans do. They're going to speak just purely through the mind. Rod Serling does his intro. We cut ahead 10 years. We're introduced to this couple, the sheriff of the town, and there's a fire out in this like remote house in the forest, and it turns out to be like the main couple at this meeting. Their daughter survived, and when we saw the next time on, when we did the last episode, we both said the girl started the fire. It's going to turn out that she started, and that never even becomes a question. Yeah. It's just not part of the episode. It clearly, or seemingly, is just an accident, and she survived, and that's it.
Yeah, without anything, like no smoke damage, no scratches on her, no burns, nothing.
Yeah, that was the thing. I thought it still sounded suspicious when they found her, because I was like, yeah, that sounds like she did this from the outside. Yeah. It killed them, but then it never comes up that there's anything to it. So I was like, okay, whatever, I'll go with it, but I'm still suspicious. Still suspicious. But one of the key things in that opening scene, though, with the couples is that they're all kind of voting to agree that they're going to like live by this and obey this. And there's the one couple, and the actor in the couple is the guy who he was in the episode. He was like the Nazi who went back to the concentration camp. Mm-hmm. It's that actor. Yeah. And they're like, oh, we have a couple of doubts. Like, we believe in doing this. We think it's important to do and all that. But the one thing we're a little bit iffy on is the idea of like forcing this on our children. The idea that they don't have a choice to be a part of this. And like one of the other mums is like, no, I believe we should do it because like this is inevitable. It's the future. We're setting them ahead of everyone else, kind of thing. And that's important for the end of the episode when this couple show up to like maybe come and get her, because they sympathize with like what the new direction is going to be for her. So that's kind of the important part there. But yeah, so the actual bulk of the episode though is the girl. We hear her thoughts, we hear her thinking about things and looking at people, but she can't talk. And the other main part of it is that the mum, or the sheriff's wife, she lost a young daughter at some point who drowned. And she's becoming attached to Elsa is the name of the girl. Yeah. And wants to keep her. And to the point where she actually sabotages the letters that are going to Europe to like talk to like the friends of the family who might come and take her away. And she like burns those letters. And the girl catches her, Elsa catches her and like is pissed about it because she wants to go. She wants to go find other kids like her.
Right. She wants to be back with people who can communicate with her.
Yeah. I think what I thought was interesting about the portrayal of telepathy here, that is a bit weird to me, is the idea that regular speech hurts her ears almost. It seems like she sort of, you get this effect where she's like hearing it and she's like, like. I
thought it was really neat how they did that, how they were able to, clearly like we can still hear some of the words, but it's just coming through mostly as sounds, like just little bits and pieces of words are coming through. And yeah, she's focused on the mouse the whole time, like just trying to study, trying to understand, but it's just coming through as noise.
Do you know what I think?
I thought it was a neat direction.
What I think makes it not work for me is the fact that when we hear her thinking, she's still thinking in dialogue. She's still thinking in English. So for me, it's kind of weird that she doesn't understand where, even though they're spoken, okay, she's never used her mouth to speak. That's fine. But she should still understand what they're saying.
I don't know how you'd be able to portray that other than like just showing images, I guess.
Yeah, well, when they show her training with her father, it was like a little quick flashback and he's just showing photos of things. It's like, okay, so yeah, it was purely about communicating, not using words. And that's fine, but several times in the episode when you hear her thinking, she thinks in sentences, she thinks in words. So... Yeah. You can still, you can tell me that she's not really thinking in words, it's just interpreted that way for us because we're the audience, but it still makes me think of it that way. So when she started not listening or not understanding English, I was like, well, no, you still understand that. You're still speaking, and because we still, like, when we think about things, we still think in our language. We still think in the terms of words. You know, it's like you're having to talk to yourself in the head sometimes when you're thinking about things. And obviously, it's possible to think without that. I mean, every other species does it without words. So it's an interesting concept, but it's almost because they sort of leaned on using words still to communicate it to us when we're seeing inside her head. It still kind of gave me the impression that it was still in English, even though technically you're telling me it's not. It was a bit of a hurdle to get over, so that I think it'd have been ballsier and more experimental to say, no, we can't use words at all when we're showing how she's like thinking or how she interprets things. It's harder to do, and it would be far more creative. And I get why they didn't do that for this episode, but it's definitely, if you're really going to do this to the full extent of what the idea is, I think that's what they should have done.
That would be very tricky, I think, to portray. Honestly, like, I don't know how you would be able to do it.
You need that. I mean, I'm not saying this girl's bad, but you would definitely need a strong actor to, like, act with just the face, with the eyes, the performance, because you couldn't use words.
Yeah.
So you'd have to do that for a start. The other thing that was a bit weird to me that didn't quite work is that later on, after she's like been told repeatedly in class to say her name, and she comes home and this German couple are there to take her away, and we see like them try to talk to her in her head. And basically the idea here is that she's been taught to speak enough now that she's almost going to speak. But in doing so, now the telepathy's starting to sound like the words used to, where now the telepathy's hurting her brain and it sounds like garbled mess. And she yells out, my name is Elsa, my name is Elsa. She starts crying. What I thought was stupid about that is that this German couple have been switching between talking and telepathy like the entire time I've seen them on screen. Like, it's clearly they're quite comfortable just like speaking to themselves in their head, you know, in secret, casually, but then they can still speak to other people to keep up appearances and communicate with the normies, if you will. So it didn't make a whole lot of sense to me that she suddenly was like, oh, now I can speak properly, now my telepathy part of my brain's shutting down.
Yeah, I guess I didn't really think about it very much about how, like, is it just one or the other if you're a child, but if you're an adult, your brain's more developed or something, so it'd be easier for you to do both. But you're right, it doesn't really make sense unless you, like, have some sort of exception like that to the rule.
Yeah, which, you know, it's not the end of the world, but it's making a big dramatic point that she's shifting to normal life, right? And it plays into this couple. Of course, they believe their child should be able to choose, and the idea that this child is choosing that she wants to stay amongst normal people, she wants to stay with this couple. They accept that, and they're like, we'll respect that, and we'll let her stay here. And they're like, she's loved, and that's the more important thing, and that's a nice sentiment.
Yeah, sure.
I don't know if I sympathize completely though with the wife getting her way here and ultimately getting to keep the girl, because she comes across to me as a little bit maybe needy's not the right word, but like the way she sabotages things, the way she like holds her and cries and says, I'm here, baby, selfish. I'm here. Yeah. So yeah, it comes across as a selfish, like kind of slightly crazy,
like I deserve this is my second chance kind of thing.
In fact, one of the things she says when she's holding her, after she said her name and she's looking at the German couple, she says like, you've got no right, and I'm like, you have no right, you met her like a month ago.
There's no adoption papers here.
Like, you have no claim to this person to be this parent. And it's not that she will be a bad parent, it's not that she won't care for her and all. I'm sure maybe she's great, but in the course of this episode, I don't think it made me want her to get her as a child. I never felt at the end that I sympathise with her wanting this kid, because she'd been too deceptive about all the little things she was doing throughout and felt needy, I guess. Yeah,
but her motivation seems to be love. Like, she does seem to genuinely love her, even if she is just like a replacement for the child that she lost, which who knows how long ago. I don't know if they mentioned. They seem like an older couple, though.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, they've still got the bedroom there, because obviously they put this girl in there.
Yeah, people who mourn the loss of a child, like, they can do that.
Oh, yeah, sure. I just meant, they've not moved house, like, so they're clearly still in the same area and stuff. Yeah, I think that's probably the bigger problem. You know, I can nitpick some of the rules with the telepathy and stuff, but that's not super important. I think the bigger problem for me is that the emotional journey of the episode, I think, falls a bit flat, because I don't necessarily think I wasn't at the point where I was rooting for this daughter and mother to stay together, because I didn't really feel like until the very end that the daughter really wanted to stay. It was kind of a sudden change towards the end, and the mother's side of things, or the potential mother, I should say, because she's just the woman, but like her side of things, she feels a little unsympathetic in how she goes about a lot of what she does. So like I say, it feels selfish, and entitled's maybe a better word. It does in a sense of entitlement that's a bit odd.
Yeah, I suppose. I don't hate the story beats though, about like the girl who was used as a guinea pig and maybe has not felt that kind of love from a mother. I mean, we don't know how close she was to her parents. Like, if this is, we want our kid to be better than us or better than everybody else. So maybe they were kind of cold in order to nurture that specific thing about her. And I mean, we don't really know, but I think you can kind of draw parallels to some parents who are like that, or just like, it's more important that you're great at this than getting love from me right now. Like, I'll love you when you're at the level that should be loved, you know?
Yeah, no, I think that is in there. I also think there's like a weird, like, other things that kind of creep in. Like, there's a moment where she's in the classroom and the teacher's introducing her to the class and explaining she doesn't speak. And one of the lines she has is she says to the class, "But we're going to help her learn, aren't we, students? We're going to help her become just like everyone else." And that part to me almost sounded like a negative. Like, I get that she's had this weird upbringing.
Yeah, because the teacher came off so cruel.
Yeah. But it kind of sounded like, well, no, you are to conform to be like everyone else. Like, her being special and unique, and, you know, regardless of what, you know, led to how she is this way, she shouldn't necessarily just abandon that and be like everyone else. You know, like, you know, to take pride in your individuality kind of thing.
Yeah,
so
maybe we shouldn't be nurturing the things that make people different or special, especially in children. Yeah, maybe I am a little bit confused of what the message should be.
I wonder
I suppose, you know, it's not just about conformity. It's about having a community still, you know, being so separate from other children that are like you in a way that you can't even form friendships. I mean, would be a bit debilitating.
I guess, I mean, maybe the message is that you have to have a healthy dose of both, but that line definitely stuck out to me as being a very negative point. And maybe that's just like something that's aged. Maybe that's sort of thing where that was seen as a nice, healthy thing to say to someone in the 60s, and we look at that now and sort of critique it. I don't know. But I think by the end of the episode, I kind of felt like it was a little bit of a push and pull of both sides of the argument. And, you know, for the argument it was kind of presenting, I kind of felt like it didn't get... I wonder if it was supposed to be clearly one side was right when it aired, but now from a modern lens, I'm looking at it and going, no, I see a lot of positives, even though there's some things that are not good about her upbringing and the fact that she will struggle to communicate with others, which obviously is still important. So there are negatives on that side, but I still see a lot of positives on that side as well that they're kind of trying to stamp out of her. So it's, you know, I guess it's an interesting episode in that it's creating this debate amongst us now. So that's good.
Yeah.
But it left me feeling a little bit weird about, okay, what exactly is it saying?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's kind of a medium episode. I do think the performances are pretty good. I like the mother character quite a bit, actually, because she has a lot of backstory. She has a lot of weight to carry, and I think her, even if the emotional arc doesn't work for you, I think her emotions come across pretty clear as to what she's gone through and why she's obsessed with this girl now.
Yeah. A bit over the top though, as well, I would say at points.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, a lot of actors in this show can be a bit big in their performance.
Yeah, I'm thinking specifically when she's holding her and crying and yelling things, like, you know, just you know, so she's going for that Emmy. You know, she's like, I want this Emmy, damn it, I'm going for it. I'm acting.
I liked her. I don't know what else I've seen her in, but I thought she was good.
I don't know if I've seen her in anything. Let me click on her.
I wouldn't say she was subtly good. I just think that she was good.
She has to be a superhero. Her real name is Barbara Baxley. Like, that is a superhero alias if I ever heard one.
Totally.
She was in Nashville. She was in The Exorcist 3.
Oh, I watched that not too long ago.
Sea of Love. That's what she's known for, apparently.
The Exorcist 3 is called The Sea of Love.
In fact, No, Sea of Love's a separate movie.
That'd be a good colon.
Yeah, why is that?
Exorcist 3, Sea of Love.
Oh, interestingly, The Exorcist 3 is our last movie.
Oh, okay.
So the last movie, she died the year it came out. So, at the age of 67. That's interesting.
It's interesting that we always expect actors to work until they die. You know, there's no other like career really. Maybe like other artists or writers or something. We just assume that if they retire, then that's wasted acting potential that they could have given us more.
I mean, some people do. Gene Hackman's been retired for like 20 years at this point.
I know, and we're upset about it.
Let him enjoy. I mean, he's like there was a photo of him.
He did give us a lot. He doesn't really owe us anything.
There was a photo of him like last year. It's like, hey, there's Gene Hackman at 91 or whatever age he is, and he looks ancient, but he's happy. He's enjoying retirement.
That's good.
Yeah, it's kind of neat.
Anyway, that was a bit of a tangent, but
yeah. So I would say I'm very mixed in this episode, although I do think it provokes a lot of interesting ideas at the very least, which, is kind of one of the things that I look for from Twilight Zone, so, there's something to be said for that, if nothing else.
Yeah, totally.
So, of course, Rod comes out and tells us about next episode. We're getting
a cool name.
We get a spaceship episode. It's called Death Ship, and here's the description via IMDb. An interplanetary expedition from Earth finds an exact duplicate of their ship and themselves crashed on the planet they were surveying. Should they stay or risk taking off and crashing? This is a great premise that I've seen.
This is so good.
Yeah.
And we got Klugman back.
I'm sure this is a Red Dwarf episode as well.
I've never seen Red Dwarf.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. I'm sure this premise has been done in multiple things.
A little bit of a coherence vibe, even.
Yeah. I'm very intrigued. Even a little bit of Moon to bring up Duncan Jones. He also did a horrible film called Mute. It was that movie was terrible.
I never saw it. I still like Duncan Jones quite a bit.
It's sci-fi though, so one day we're going to have to do it on the Ace.
Oh, it could be our bonus movie. I just thought of what we're doing for the bonus.
Yeah, I'm actually impressed you knew the actor's name because my reaction in this clip at the end was, it's the trumpet player from season 1 or whatever season it was. We had that episode.
Jack Klugman, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he's also in 12 Angry Men. He's one of the jurors.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. I could think of him in that now. There's a lot of actors from this time period that I know from 12 Angry Men.
Yeah. No Martin Balsam yet, though. I don't think he's been on Twilight Zone yet.
Yeah. So that's cool. For the record, Jack Klugman survived until the age of 90 in 2012. So.
Oh, very cool.
It's a good one.
He's been in multiple. I think he was in the Mighty Casey episode also. So I don't know if this is his third or maybe fourth. He's a regular for Twilight Zone.
That's cool. And obviously we had a returning actor in this episode as well. So it's been going on long enough that we've had a.
Is it the father character or the, I guess, firefighter? Whoever takes the girl?
No, the German guy at the start.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I thought the other guy looked familiar, too. Maybe he's a Star Trek actor.
I mean, he may have been. I mean, I just didn't recognize him, but he may have been. Like, just because I didn't notice doesn't necessarily mean it wasn't.
Yeah.
But the other guy had more of a distinct face, I guess. So
yeah,
I remembered them. But yeah, so that'll be coming next time. And just keep in mind that whilst new Star Trek is on, so Star Trek Strange New Worlds is currently airing and we're reviewing that, and that's kind of taking Twilight Zone slot. We've sort of snuck this one in, but there's 3 episodes of Star Trek left, and then we should be back to doing this weekly at that point. So it's not too long now until the Twilight Zone will be consistent again. And it won't take us long to get through season 4 because season 4 is only 18 episodes. So it won't be too long before we're on season 5. So,
all right.
But yes, let us know what you thought of this Twilight Zone in the comments below. Like, subscribe, ding the bell for notifications, all that stuff. You can, of course, hit the super thanks button below to support all the content. But you can also support us on Patreon, can't you, Tara?
That's right, Peter. If you guys enjoy our reviews, please check out our Patreon page. It's patreon.com/mildfuzztv, where if you donate as low as $1 per month, you'll get a bunch of bonus stuff. We review science fiction movies. And there's also a horror movie review. You get a lot of fun stuff there. And if you donate $5 per month, you'll get access to these episodes early. So head on over and check that out. Thank you.
Yeah. Check out Male Fuzz Movies, where the sci-fi movie podcast we do called The Atomic Cinema Experiment lives. And you can also find that in the podcast feed as well if you want to go search for it. But it's us too. So if you like us too, then go and get more of us too. That's my sales pitch. Thank you very much for joining us. We always appreciate it. Keep watching Twilight Zone. No, keep watching TV in the Twilight Zone.